Exposed. Her 27-year-old online BF's life-changing betrayal in Dubai revealed an incredible truth. Emma sat numbly in her small Midwestern apartment, her laptop glowing in the dim light, fixated on the screen that showcased the life she thought she wanted. Jake, the charismatic entrepreneur from Dubai, had spun a tale of luxury and adventure that seemed to leap off the page. His life unfolded like a fairy tale: private yacht parties, five-star dinners, and a dazzling skyline that took her breath away through his stunning photographs. But beneath the dreamy surface, Emma felt a tightness in her chest as the realities of her own life loomed large: the long shifts at the hospital, the weight of her mother's sacrifices, and the daily grind of making ends meet. "He's not what he seems, Emma," her mother warned gently, the wrinkles on her face deepening with concern. "Promise me you won't get lost in those fantasies." But Emma brushed off the warning, dazzled by Jake's charm and the thrill of connection amid her monotonous routine. She imagined the ease of love, the joy of adventure, and the escape from her small-town reality. Their digital romance blossomed. Nights turned into mornings filled with laughter, sweet nothings, and dreams strung together like fairy lights. Emma was swept away by the emotions she felt, like a giddy teenager, but under it all, a tug of doubt lingered. Yet, for the first time, she felt seen, valued, and cherished. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can, drop a like. It really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With a flutter in her chest, Emma boarded the plane to Dubai, envisioning the life that awaited her. The plane touched down, and the city unfolded like a palatial dream before her eyes, the majestic buildings glimmering against the sun, each a promise of the possibilities that lay ahead. As she stepped out into the bustling streets, her heart raced. She was a world away from the familiar. But as she swam deeper into Jake's world, the glamour began to darken, revealing cracks in the facade. The lavish dinners turned into empty promises, and the high-flying entrepreneur she adored became a man hiding in shadows. The truth struck her like a cold wave. Jake's wealth was a mirage, his stories crafted from smoke and mirrors. Heartbroken, Emma felt the values her mother instilled unraveling before her eyes. The betrayal dug deep, and as her world crashed down around her, she found herself lost in a place that felt alien, even with the dazzling skyline. But just when shame and despair threatened to drown her, her small-town community stepped in with unexpected strength. Friends and neighbors rallied around her, their steadfast support igniting a spark of resilience. They reminded her that love, compassion, and true success come from the bonds we build, not the lies we chase. As Emma began to heal, she discovered a deeper understanding of herself, the unshakable belief that her self-worth wasn't tied to a fairy tale life, but to the rich, imperfect tapestry of family and community around her. However, in her darkest hour, a call from home loomed, promising to shatter her newfound hope. The fabric of her renewed clarity hung by a thread, threatening to unravel amidst family crisis and daunting choices. Emma found herself on the brink, grappling with the ultimate question: can she stand strong against these challenges, or will doubt pull her back into the abyss? As she pondered her next move, the road to self-discovery seemed both terrifying and filled with potential. Emma felt the weight of the world crash down as she stared at her phone, the screen illuminating her worry. The call from her mother had been frantic, laced with panic that sent a shiver through her. "I don't know how to keep everything together, Emma. Your father, he is not well. We need your help." The trembling in her voice twisted Emma's heart, pulling her back into a reality she had tried to escape from. The glamour of the Dubai skyline dimmed as she tried to process what her mother had just said. This wasn't the fairy tale escape she had pictured. This was raw, real life, messy and demanding. What about the adventures she had dreamed of? The life she had imagined with Jake? All of it felt like a cruel joke now, a cog in a machine that was spinning dangerously out of control. After reaching out to her friends back home, Emma felt a sense of urgency to return. They were there for her when she needed support, offering rides, help with her tasks, and their unwavering love. It clicked for Emma. These were the connections that mattered. With a deep breath, she faced herself in the mirror. She didn't need Jake's world. She needed her world. The home she had once felt stifled by now held a promise of familiarity and strength. She packed her bag, the weight of her choices pressed against her. Did she really want to go back home for good? The allure of Jake still flickered in her mind, but doubt gnawed at her. Each item she tucked away was a reminder of the woman she wanted to become, independent and whole on her own without the veneer of swept-away dreams. While on the flight back, the turbulence seemed to mirror her inner turmoil. She closed her eyes and remembered the laughter of her friends, the warmth of family dinners, the comfort of home. Amidst all the glitz in Dubai, none of it could replicate that feeling. She was on her way back to reclaim herself. After landing, Emma rushed home, each step echoing a newfound resolve. The faint smell of her mother's cooking wafted through the air, grounding her. As she entered, there it was, the sight of family gathered around the kitchen table, their faces lighting up. "You're back." They wrapped their arms around her, a web of support enveloping her, providing her with a safety net for the uncertainty ahead. But in the middle of hugs and murmurs of comfort, Emma's phone buzzed, sending a jolt through her. It was a message from Jake. "I need to talk." The words on the screen were heavy and filled with a weight she couldn't shake. The memories of laughter had turned sour in her mind. Part of her wanted to ignore him, but the allure of closure danced in her thoughts. Standing in the familiar chaos of home, Emma faced a choice. Would she answer his call? Would the truth she sought bring her peace, or drag her back into that emotional whirlwind? Her heart raced as she contemplated the possible fallout. Could returning to Jake's world offer answers, or had it all been nothing but illusions? Caught in the emotional tug-of-war, Emma felt her phone buzzing again, the screen lighting up with Jake's name. Every fiber of her being was a battlefield between hope and doubt. What if this time, the truth sets me free? She wondered, gripping the phone tightly. As she stood at the crossroads of her past and present, she could feel the uncertainty hanging thick in the air. Would she dare to face Jake one last time? The answer lay just on the horizon, waiting to be discovered. Emma's heart thudded in her chest as she stood in the kitchen, surrounded by the warmth and chatter of her family. The vibrant voices intertwined with the sweet scent of her mother's cooking, creating an atmosphere thick with love. Yet one message pulled her away, distorting the comfort she had longed for. Taking a step back from the gathering, she felt the weight of her choices pressing against her. Should she answer? Should she let Jake seep back into her life, even for a moment? She clicked on the message, reading the 3 simple words again. Each syllable felt like a stone plummeting into her stomach. With a deep breath, Emma slipped out of the chaos and found a quiet corner of the house, her fingers hovering over the screen. She wanted to feel angry, to feel resolved in her decision to leave that life behind, but underneath it all lay an ache of curiosity. What could he possibly have to say that warranted this electric jolt of urgency? Messages poured into her mind. Memories of laughter passed between them despite the rupture between their lives. They had planned a future that felt lost in the folds of her past. Clenching her phone tighter, she turned it over in her hand. "Talk," she finally typed, hesitating before pressing send. "No going back now." Moments later, the familiar ring of a video call lit up, and she pressed the button to answer. Jake's face appeared on the screen, flush with regret and vulnerability. His eyes, usually full of mischief and lightheartedness, were shadowed, reflecting the weight of unspoken words. "Emma," he started, his voice shaky. "I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to what, Jake? To betray me?" She interrupted, her voice rising with the passion of hurt. "To leave without a word? You just thought you could move on and forget about everything we built?" He winced at her tone, and for a moment, she saw his expression flicker between sorrow and determination. "I know, but I don't want to hear excuses. You called me, remember? What is so urgent?" His shoulders slumped, and he swallowed hard. It's about my father. The reason I left so abruptly, Emma. It was never what you thought. I found out he has been lying about everything, about us." Emma blinked, confusion clouding her thoughts. "What do you mean? What does that have to do with us?" "Because it's not just my father. There's more something that affects both of us. I came back to make sure you knew." Please, just let me explain. Each word fell heavy on her heart, and as he spoke, a part of her wanted to reach through the screen, to grasp onto the familiarity of the past. Yet another part screamed for her to protect herself from further anguish. Emma, I care about you, he continued, his voice cracking. I've made mistakes, but I never stopped thinking about you. Her heart raced wildly. The anger that had fueled her determination shifted into a battle with unresolved feelings. She wanted to tear down the walls they had built, to confront the pain and the lies. But it was also scary to imagine opening that door once again. Let us meet, Jake proposed, his eyes piercing through the screen. Just talk. No pressure. I promise I won't push. Emma hesitated, chaos swarming her thoughts. The idea of seeing him again both thrilled and terrified her. Old memories flashed like a reel in her mind, a tantalizing mix of happiness and heartbreak. As she chewed on the idea, her family laughter echoing in the background, she contemplated the precarious balance between closing a chapter and risking another open wound. Could confronting the past reveal something she truly needed to understand, or would it just lead to more confusion? Taking a slow, deep breath, she realized she was at another crossroads, this time with the possibility of truth dangling just out of reach. Okay, let us meet, Emma finally said, the words gaining a momentum of their own. Jake's face lit up, relief washing over him. Thank you. You won't regret it. I promise, he said, hope gleaming in his eyes. Emma ended the call, her pulse racing and her thoughts swirling in a mix of dread and excitement. As she returned to the table, she couldn't shake the feeling that she had just stepped into the unknown. In the moments ahead, would she finally uncover the truth behind Jake's life-changing betrayal? Or would the reunion open wounds that were better left healed? Emma took a deep breath, knowing the answers lay waiting just around the corner. Emma stared at her phone, her heart still racing from the exchange. As she rejoined her family, the sounds of laughter and clinking dishes felt distant, almost unrecognizable. Each bite of mashed potatoes tasted bland. The distracting joy of the moment couldn't drown out the storm brewing inside her. The thought of meeting Jake filled her with dread, yet a flicker of excitement taunted her too. Everything okay, Em? Her younger brother Eli asked, casting her a curious look. He was always the observant one. Yeah, just thinking. She forced a smile, but Eli wasn't buying it. He glanced at Mom, who was busy pouring gravy into a dish, then back at Emma, his eyes narrowing suspiciously. Thinking about what? He teased, a half-shirt grin lingering at the corners of his mouth. Emma rolled her eyes, shrugging it off. Just life stuff. Just then, her phone buzzed, causing her to jump. It was a new message from Jake. Can we meet tomorrow? Just you and me. Please. Her stomach twisted. The urgency in his message echoed loudly in her mind. This wasn't just a casual meetup. There was something heavier at stake. She quickly typed back, where? Wanting to ensure she could maintain control of the situation. Same place as before. 3 p.m.? Fine. She typed back, not even fully aware of the decision she was making. The evening dragged on, and by the time she climbed into bed, sleep evaded her. She tossed and turned, picturing Jake's face, the sorrow etched in his features. They had shared dreams, laughter, whispered secrets beneath the stars. But who was he now? A betrayer or a confused boy trying to make amends? Morning light poured through her window, an unwelcome reminder of the decision ahead. After a hasty breakfast, Emma found herself staring out the window, playing the afternoon over and over in her mind. She wasn't just stepping back into a past filled with yellowed memories. She was diving into a pool uncertain of its depth. Meeting Jake at the old coffee shop felt like stepping onto a tightrope with no safety net. What if he had more secrets? What if he still failed to see the consequences of his actions? But what if he had the answers that would bring her peace? The familiar doorway of the cafe loomed before her as she arrived, its worn sign flickering lazily in the sunlight. The muffled sounds of customers' coffee machines whirring, laughter rising and falling swirled around her like a chaotic symphony. Her heart raced as she stepped inside. Surprisingly, the scent of coffee grounded her, anchoring her before she plunged into unpredictable waters. Then, she saw him. Jake sat at a corner table, fidgeting with his cup. The anxiety on his face mirrored her own. His eyes locked onto hers, somehow pleading for forgiveness before even uttering a word. Emma, he said softly as she approached, his voice trembling slightly. "Thank you for coming. Let us just talk." She took a seat, the tension between them thickening the air. Bleak silence settled for a moment, and she could see the turmoil brewing within him. "I know I hurt you. I'm here to explain everything. To show you that no more excuses." "Jake," she interrupted, her tone sharper than intended. "Just tell me the truth." He took a deep breath, the weight of those words hanging in the air. "It really affects us both," he began, desperately searching for the right way to phrase it. As he opened his mouth, revealing the secrets that had twisted their past, Emma braced herself, knowing this moment might change everything. What he said next could either shatter her or mend what was broken. "Emma, my father isn't who you think he is." The door swung open and the bell rang sweetly, but Emma's world felt like it was about to crumble. Would the truth be a bomb or a blade? In that moment, she realized she wasn't just here to confront Jake's past, but to confront her own heart. And just like that, the room itself seemed to pulse, waiting for Jake to unveil the hidden truths that could resurrect their future or silence them forever. Emma's breath caught as the words lingered in the space between them. The sunlight filtering through the cafe's window cast a warm glow, but the chill in her heart was unmistakable. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake leaned in, his brow furrowed. There was hesitation in his eyes, as if he were grappling with more than just the weight of his confession. "It's complicated. My dad hasn't been honest with anyone. Not even me." "Then start from the beginning," Emma urged, her pulse quickening. She needed clarity, even if the truth was shrouded in shadows. Jake nodded, swallowing hard. "My parents are involved in some business that's not above board. I thought they were just doing his job, but it's something much darker. I didn't know until I started to dig deeper last year." His hands trembled around his cup of coffee, and Emma noticed the faint sheen of sweat on his forehead. "What kind of business?" she demanded, her heart pounding like a drum. The stakes felt impossibly high, and she was terrified of what he might reveal. "He's connected to some powerful people, dangerous people. When I started questioning how they made their money and the lives they were ruining, he turned on me. That's when I realized how deep this went." Emma felt the walls of her reality shifting. Was the boy she once cared for in that situation caught up in something beyond his control? "You should have told me sooner. I had no idea you were involved in all this. I thought you just needed space." "I did need space," he admitted, anguish washed over his features. "But I needed time to understand it all first. I thought I could protect you by staying away. But I see now it was the wrong choice. My father knows about us. He would never allow you anywhere near me if he knew." A hot rush of anger flared within Emma. "So you thought shutting me out would protect me? You left me in the dark while you dealt with this?" Her voice shook as disappointment flooded her system. "I thought I was keeping you safe." Jake's voice cracked under the pressure. "I never wanted you to be part of this. The guilt has been eating me alive, and I just couldn't." The onslaught of emotions washed over both of them. Emma was caught between fury and heartbreak, grappling with the memories of their laughter and stolen moments now tinged with betrayal. "And now you think coming back is going to fix it?" "Not fix it," he said hurriedly, desperation clear in his eyes. "But maybe help you understand why I did what I did. There's so much I want to share with you, to explain. But I need you to trust me. Just give me a chance." Silence enveloped them, heavy and suffocating. The air was thick with unspoken fears and lingering affection. Emma looked around the bustling cafe, a bubble of noise in stark contrast to the chaos inside her. She realized she was at a crossroads, standing on the cusp of a choice that could lead her down a dark road or open a path to healing. "Trust isn't easy for me right now," she finally responded, her voice steady but gentle. "But what if this leads to more danger? I have to think of my future too, Jake." Jake's expression shifted, vulnerability shining through. "We can figure this out together. Just let me show you what I've found. We might be able to expose the truth and stop him." A mixture of fear and hope surged through Emma. Could they really tackle this together? Could she step back into a world filled with unknown risks? The adrenaline of her own racing pulse promised adventure, yet the weight of reality anchored her. Would she truly be ready for the path ahead? As she locked eyes with Jake, she noticed a flicker of determination reflecting back. What lay next was uncertain, but she knew one thing for sure: whatever secrets he would reveal next would either bind them together or tear them apart for good. And with that thought looming overhead, a question hung unspoken in the air. What exactly were they diving into? And was it too late to turn back? Emma took a deep breath, her thoughts spiraling as she considered the weight of Jake's revelations. The cafe surrounding them faded into background noise, a blur of clinking cups and soft conversations that felt distant. Everything came down to this moment. "What do you want me to see?" Emma said, her voice firm but trembling. She braced herself for an answer that might change everything. Jake hesitated for a moment, drawing his hand away from his cup. He seemed to be weighing how best to reveal the next layer of his truth. There's a meeting tonight, a gathering among some of his associates. Associates? Emma echoed, remembering the panic in his voice. Her mind raced. This was becoming more serious by the second. "And you think I should be there?" "Yes, I do. I need you to see it. It'll help you understand what I'm fighting against." If we can get concrete evidence, his voice trailed off, the implications hanging heavy in the air. Emma considered for a moment, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and exhilaration. She should say no. She should walk away while she still had the chance to turn back. But there was something electric about the danger, something that pulled her closer to it. "And you think this will work?" "I wouldn't ask you if I didn't believe it would." His gaze bore into hers, a mixture of pleading and confidence. Seeing that flicker of hope ignited something deep within Emma. They had been through so much, and despite everything, the remnants of their connection still flickered with promise. "All right," she said finally, her decision made. "I'll go." Jake let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding, and relief washed over him. "Thank you," he said, the sincerity clear in his voice. "I won't let you down." But as the gravity of their decision sank in, Emma couldn't shake the feeling something was indeed off. "What if we're caught? What if your father he won't expect us?" Jake interrupted, urgency clawing at his words. "And I have a plan. Just trust me." Trust. The word echoed in her head like a siren call. It filled her with warmth, yet gnawed at the edges of her mind with doubt. Still, she was here, making choices that could challenge everything she thought she knew about Jake, about love, about loyalty. The sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the cafe in hues of orange and crimson, and time slipped away quickly. The afternoon rush waned, leaving just a few scattered tables occupied. Emma felt a sudden rush of confidence mingle with fear. "All right, let us do this. Show me the truth." But before they could finalize their plans, a figure moved close, and Emma's breath caught again. A stranger was watching them, his eyes narrow and probing. He lingered for just a moment before disappearing into the crowd outside the cafe. "Did you see that?" Emma whispered, her heart racing anew. "Who was that?" Jake's expression darkened, his jaw tightening. "I don't know, but we need to be careful." A chill ran down her spine as she realized they might not be as alone as they thought. The stakes were rising, and dangers were brewing in ways she had yet to comprehend as they gathered their things and prepared to leave. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that they were being drawn deeper into a web of deceit and danger. The question loomed larger than ever. What had they truly signed up for? And what would they discover on the other side of the truth? Emma's heart raced as they stepped out of the cafe, the late afternoon light casting long shadows on the sidewalk. The stranger was out of her mind, but the thrill still pulsed through her veins. She couldn't deny the sense of adventure that mixed with fear. Was she ready for whatever lay ahead? Jake walked beside her, his brow knitted with concentration. "We need to take a different route," he said, casting a glance over his shoulder. "Let us avoid the main streets for now." "Why?" Emma asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Just instinct," he replied, his gaze locked on the ground ahead. "Stick close to me." They wove through side streets, the bustling city humming around them, but Emma felt isolated from it all. Each footstep echoed in her mind. What if they really were being watched? Was this all a mistake? Finally, they reached an old warehouse on the outskirts of town, far from the cafes and shops. Its metal walls were rusted, and the windows were dark. It felt like the kind of place where secrets were kept. Jake paused, looking up at it with a mix of apprehension and determination. "Are you ready?" he asked, turning to face her. "Ready?" Emma felt her pulse quicken again. She had said yes, but the reality was sinking in hard. "What if we find something we don't want to see?" "That's the point," he said firmly. "We need to know what's going on. This is bigger than us." She looked into his eyes, searching for reassurance. And if your father is involved? If we're caught, Jake took a step closer, his voice low and steady. I won't let anything happen to you. We'll go in, get the evidence, and come out. Just trust me. Trust. That word hung between them like a lifeline. Emma grappled with her emotions as she felt the weight of that decision. She nodded slowly, her resolve hardening. Then let us do this. They slipped inside, the door creaking ominously behind them. The interior was dimly lit, shadows dancing across the walls as they navigated the clutter of forgotten machinery and crates. An unsettling feeling gripped Emma. Her instincts were screaming at her to turn back, but she pressed on, fueled by the hope that understanding Jake's world would somehow bring them closer as they moved deeper into the warehouse. They couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every sound, distant footsteps, muffled voices sent her heart racing. Jake placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding her. This way, he urged, leading her toward a narrow hallway. As they approached a slight opening, voices became clearer. Emma held her breath, the moment lingering like a thick fog in the air. If we don't act now, everything we've worked for will be destroyed, a voice rumbled with authority. Jake's expression tightened, and he turned to her, eyes wide. This is it, he breathed. Emma's heart thundered in her chest. She could hardly breathe. What if what they heard shattered everything? What if this was a betrayal unlike any other? She leaned closer, straining to listen, determined to uncover the truth. Just then, a shadow moved behind them, something sinister lurking in the dim lighting. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Did you hear that? She whispered. Jake turned sharply, his expression shifting from worry to steel. Get ready. We might not be alone. The air was charged with tension as they both prepared for what lay ahead. Emma's pulse quickened. This was bigger than just Jake and her. This was about their futures, their lives, and the haunting secrets that threatened to unravel everything. Just then, the door creaked, and heavy footsteps echoed toward them. Emma's heart raced as she wondered, would they discover the truth, or would they be trapped in the very web they sought to escape? Emma dared to breathe, but every fiber of her being felt electric with fear. The footsteps drew closer, each thud echoing like a ticking clock counting down to an unknown fate. She pressed her back against the cool wall, adrenaline coursing through her veins as she motioned for Jake to do the same. What do we do? She murmured, voice shaking. Stay quiet. We need to find out who it is, Jake replied, his grip tightening on her arm, their bodies barely an inch apart. The door creaked wider, and a figure stepped into the dim light. Emma squinted, trying to make out the details. It was a man, tall and built, his features shadowed. A chill ran down her spine, and she instinctively inched closer to Jake. The man's voice carried through the still air. No one else can know about this. We can't let anyone interfere. He leaned against the wall, the light catching a brief glimpse of his face. Emma's heart dropped. It was Marcus, someone she recognized from Jake's family circle. They exchanged a quick glance, and Jake's eyes darkened with recognition and dread. Emma could feel his body tense up beside her. Marcus can't know we're here, Jake whispered, eyes darting like a trapped animal. If he finds us, we're done for. Her heartbeat in her ears drowned out the muffled voice coming from Marcus, but she forced herself to focus. This was a moment of truth. What had they stumbled into? What was Marcus trying to protect? A second voice joined in a younger, sharper tone. What if we don't take action right now? The board will want results. You know they're not patient. The urgency in his words wrapped around Emma like a tight vice, squeezing dread into her gut. She leaned in closer again, their breaths mingling in the heavy air. What were they planning? She needed to know. She felt Jake's hand gently squeeze her arm as he leaned in. We shouldn't be here. Let us slip out. No. Emma's voice barely escaped her lips. We need to hear more. Jake hesitated, his brow furrowing in concern. Emma, we can't risk it. We need to leave. Please, she pleaded, looking deep into his eyes. If you're right about your father, if Marcus is involved, we have to know the details. Jake exhaled sharply, frustration and fear clashing in his expression. All right, but if things go south, we have to run. No arguments. Emma nodded, a rush of determination flooding her veins again. They returned their focus to the conversation happening just a few feet away. The two men were now silent, exchanging looks that held too much hidden meaning. Marcus finally broke the quiet. You don't understand. If the money goes missing before the deal is closed, we'll lose everything. Then we'll make it disappear before anyone notices, said the other man, a touch of defiance in his voice. We can't let anyone get wind of this. Not from our end. Emma felt a chill settle in her chest. Whatever they were planning could unravel everything, not just for Jake and her, but for countless others too. Jake's family, the people she had met in his world, could be tied into this web of deceit. The longer they listened, the more dangerous it felt. She risked a glance at Jake, whose eyes filled with a mix of fear and resolve. He looked like he was grappling with his own demons, caught between his loyalty to his family and the truth they were uncovering together. Another voice chimed in, revealing a name that threw Emma's heart into turmoil. We can't involve her. Not Emma. If she finds out the mention of her name hung in the air, a taint of betrayal cascading over her. She could hardly comprehend the implications. Emma, we need to go, Jake urged, urgency coloring his voice, but Emma felt the walls closing in. Before she could respond, the door slammed open with a jarring crash. Suddenly, they were no longer hidden. The figures turned, eyes darting toward their direction, the air thick with a tension that churned in her stomach. Caught in a frenzied moment, Emma knew they had to make a choice. But as the confrontation unfolded in front of her, she gulped back a rising wave of panic. What would they all uncover in the moments to come? Would they find safety, or had they stepped straight into the danger they feared? Behind her, the shadows loomed, and now there was no turning back. Emma's heart raced as the men's eyes locked onto her and Jake, their expressions shifting from surprise to suspicion in seconds. The atmosphere crackled with tension, and in that heartbeat, every choice they made felt monumental. She could almost hear her pulse, steady yet frantic, urging her to act. Who's there? Marcus barked out, his voice sharp, like glass breaking. In that fleeting moment, Emma's mind raced. She could feel Jake beside her, his breathing uneven. Stay calm, she whispered, but the words felt fragile, as if they could shatter at any moment. We need to get out, Jake said, pulling at her hand. But she hesitated, her gaze stealing a quick glance at the doorway. The sudden movement caught the attention of the second man, who stepped forward, his posture aggressive. Emma bit her lip, feeling trapped between her instincts and the urgency of the situation. The revelation that they were about to be caught engulfed her thoughts, and a cold sweat formed on her skin. She could sense Jake's frustration, feel it crackle in the air between them. But something deeper urged her to stay put. Before she could respond, a flash of anger crossed Marcus' face. I told you to keep it quiet. We've got company. His eyes swept the room like a hawk searching for prey, and Emma felt a chill gather at the base of her spine. What do we do? She asked again, her voice no longer a whisper but an affirmation of their reality. Run, Jake pressed, but as he turned to move, a fist met the wall behind them with a deafening strike, the sound reverberating in the silence. Enough games, Marcus shouted, and Emma instinctively jumped closer to Jake, feeling an invisible line shift within the air. The confrontation was no longer just about whispers of deceit. It was a clash between life and consequence. Emma's heart beat wildly, wrestling with the chaos unfolding around them. Listen to him, the second man sneered, stepping forward with bold confidence. This is bigger than you think. I won't let you hurt her, Jake growled, stepping in front of her defensively, his posture protective. The surge of emotion in his voice registered deep within her. It felt like they were gripped in a storm with no safety in sight. What are you two doing here? Marcus demanded, his eyes narrowing. This isn't for you. It's too dangerous. Then what's at stake, Marcus? Emma blurted, channeling her fear into bravery. What are you hiding? The room fell silent. Marcus shifted, uncertainty briefly flickering across his features. The other man looked as if he was ready to challenge her, but Marcus held him back with a wave of his hand. You don't need to know anything. Just walk away, he warned in a wavering tone, but the caution only confirmed her fears. There were secrets layered in this unfolding narrative, secrets that linked them all. I can't walk away, Emma cried, emotion cracking her voice. Not now, not after everything I've heard. Emma, please. Jake's voice softened, desperation leaking through his resolve. No, she shot back, her voice raw and real. You don't get it. We can't just stand by and let them continue this. If they're doing something wrong, it affects everyone. We have to do something. In that charged moment, an unspoken bond formed between them, a solidarity forged in fear and determination. But before they could act, the door swung open full force, revealing a third figure cloaked in shadows, a mixture of authority and menace. "What is going on in here?" he thundered, eyes narrowing at the scene. The tension skyrocketed. Emma's breath caught in her throat. They were cornered. In the blink of an eye, their secrets were about to unfurl, and everything she believed would either be shattered or solidified. "Run!" Jake yelled again, breaking the paralysis holding them in place. But Emma's heart was torn. They could escape, but at what cost? As the room filled with chaos, she knew they were standing on the edge of revelation, teetering between safety and a deeper plunge into darkness. Could they even trust each other now? And what truths would be uncovered once all the layers were peeled back? Emma's heart raced like a wild stallion as Jake's command echoed in her ears. The world around them spun into chaos, a whirlwind of emotions clashing like thunder. What do we do? Panic surged within her, mingling with a fierce determination. The door loomed ominously behind them, shadowed figures stirring just outside, ready to pounce. "Run!" Jake pressed, pulling her hand with a fierce grip. The urgency in his voice set fire to her instincts, but the tension in the air weighed heavy. The tangible danger felt almost suffocating. Emma hesitated, the urge to confront the truth battling with the instinct to flee. "Emma, please." "No." The word burst from her, raw and desperate. "We can't leave now. Not after everything. We have to fight." "Fight? You mean run into the lion's den?" Jake countered, his frustration evident. "No," she repeated, steel in her tone. "We need to understand what we're up against first." But just then, their attention was drawn to the doorway, where the last figure, a man dressed in dark-tailored clothes, stepped inside. His presence sucked the air from the room. "Enough of this nonsense," he barked, his eyes scanning the group with a menacing intensity. There was a cloud of authority about him, a palpable threat that sent shivers through Emma. "Who are you?" Emma forced herself to confront the man, her voice quaking but steady. "Someone who gets things done," he shot back, positioning himself to block their escape. Jake squared his shoulders. "If you're doing something illegal, we're not intimidated. You can't just silence us." The man's expression shifted, a flicker of surprise mixed with disdain. "Silence? This isn't about silence, boy. It's about survival." Emma and Jake exchanged glances, the urgency of their choice surging back. Was he threatening them, or warning them? "What do you even want?" Emma pressed, steeling herself against the rising tide of fear. "What's at stake?" The man laughed, a low, dangerous sound. "What makes you think I owe you an explanation?" "Because I deserve answers." Emma felt the heat rise in her as the energy in the room thickened. "We know what you're doing. We need to understand." "Understand?" His voice dripped sarcasm. "What you see isn't what it seems. Walk away now, while you still can. This world does not play fair." But the adrenaline ignited something in Emma, a spark that was all-consuming. "Neither do we," she declared, feeling Jake's hand intertwine with hers, an electric bond tightening between them, a will to face whatever lay ahead. At that moment, the door behind the figure burst open again. Marcus and the younger man stormed in, eyes wide and frantic. "We need to go," Marcus shouted, panic seeping into his tone. "You were going to handle it," the newcomer retorted. "Handle what?" Emma yelled, her fury bubbling over. "What is worth all this secrecy?" Marcus shot her an incredulous look. "You don't understand. Too many people are involved, too many dangers. You don't have a clue what you're stepping into. And if we back down now?" Jake challenged, his voice steady yet infused with urgency. "What will become of us, of everyone you claim to protect?" In those tense moments, emotion crackled in the air. Emma felt Jake's strength radiate through their clasped hands. She understood now that strength wasn't just about facing the enemy. It was about standing with the people you cared for, no matter the cost. "You think you're courageous," the figure sneered, "but you're still naive." He moved closer, menace threading through each of his measured steps. "You both need to understand, this isn't a game. People's lives are at stake." "Exactly," Emma shot back, defiance in her voice. "People like us care about those lives. We don't turn away." "Enough," the man shouted, frustration lashing out. I won't waste my time on you. Just as he turned to leave, the air shifted one heartbeat, then another, and suddenly the path forward opened before them. Emma sensed the fear and uncertainty swirling within Jake and Marcus, but beneath it all, there was also resolve. They had to act. Let us push him back, Emma shouted, adrenaline fueling her. Drive. Jake's determination ignited the room. Now, he charged forward, and Emma followed, their feet pounding as they rushed toward the towering figure. In that frenzied movement, everything felt like it shifted. The uncertainty that bound them together transformed into an undeniable strength, a purpose beyond fear. As they barreled forward, the moments stretched on, absorbing chaos and momentum. They collided into the man with an unexpected force, causing him to stumble. Emma's heart pounded with a mix of trepidation and strength. Now, Jake cried again, ushering the group deeper into the warehouse, forging a path through the chaos, urgency draping every moment like a heavy cloak. Emma soaked in the reality unfolding, the risks, the adventure, and the possibility of truth. Was this truly the point of no return? With each step, they barreled into uncertainty, this time willing to fight for themselves, fighting for the futures they had both yearned for, but nearly lost in the shadows. That as they pushed deeper, echoes of truth beckoned them forward, promising revelations that could shatter their worlds or knit them together tighter than before. In this wild, unpredictable dance with fate, Emma realized one undeniable truth. Sometimes, the only way to discover your strength is to leap boldly into the unknown. And as they broke free from the depths of secrecy surrounding them, the only way forward was together. Stick close, she shouted, determination flooding her voice as they soared toward the unknown where danger lurked, but also where priceless answers lay waiting. This is where it all began, and where their journey of resilience and truth would lead into the unfolding brilliance of what would come next. Now was the time to decide if they would walk away or face whatever was looming ahead, armed with their hearts and newfound courage. You need to subscribe now, if you haven't yet. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this journey alive. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this thrilling climax. What would you have done? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Let us spread this story far and wide.